others, you're admitting to yourself that you're no longer in control. You leverage to the persons you're pointing the finger at. You give leverage to the person or peoples you're pointing the finger at, and you become a victim of your situation you're in. Instead of pointing a finger, consider pointing a thumb back at yourself. I need to ask my boss for a raise to get a new job, or get a new job. I have to set a better framework to work with Sally in the future. I need to set up quick check-in meetings with Rick. If I hadn't been looking for the gold rush, or I had moved quicker during this gold rush, this wouldn't have happened. If I had been more upfront with the client, I wouldn't have been in this situation. I think accountability has the brakes. It stops the momentum of pain and that comes from blaming others. If your business partner screws you and you go into the dark spiral of blame, accountability gets you out of it. If you listen to two people arguing, you'll notice that the entire conversational flow changes the second someone takes a step toward accountability. No matter what challenge I'm facing, I have to accept that in some way I made the decision that put me in that situation. Even if that decision I made was to ignore the situation until this moment, I need to hold myself accountable for that. It gives me great calm and comfort to feel that every issue in my life is 100% my fault. It excites me to know that nobody else is in control. I've created the issue and then I have the power to fix it. If I didn't create the issue and it's bigger than me or purely circumstantial, I can still decide how I absorb it, right? That's how I can control things. Accountability is the most challenging ingredient for most people because their self-esteem is predicted on the outcomes of their actions. It's hard to take blame when you're not kind to yourself or optimistic about the future. Taking it leaves you completely vulnerable to other people's judgments. People fear others' opinions, so they develop an ego defense mechanism against their own mistakes. It's a form of avoidance disguised as solution. I cheer for people. I show my admiration for them. However, I don't think others are better than me. I also don't think I'm better than them. When you don't overvalue your opinion, it's easier to not overvalue the opinions of others. It frees you to be accountable. It's easy to tell the world it's my fault because there's nothing anybody can say about me that can affect my self-esteem if I'm accountable. Hey, Alicia, thank you for coming to the stream. Thank you for the likes and the subscribes. Welcome to the channel. I cheer for people. I show my admiration for them. However, I don't think others are better than me. We just read that. You might be able to trick certain people by deflecting accountability, but you can't trick those with stronger emotional intelligence than you. That's what we're talking about here, EI. This book here by Gary Vaynerchuk is called 12 and a Half. It's about emotional intelligence. To them, it's obvious that you're passing blame. Unfortunately, many people would rather live their lives tricking other emotionally weak players. They'd rather win with those who are ego-driven and fear-based. So if you guys are wondering what's happening here, we're doing a book reading. Every now and then I'll do a stream and we'll do some book reading of some of the literature that I'm either reading or I've read in the past. It's been helpful to me. And so if you're here on this stream, you obviously landed here for a reason. My name is Jeremy. I started this channel a couple of years ago to share my process of recovering from what seemed like a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. You know, I was rock bottom alcoholic. Today, I'm over 4 years without drinking, and I'm still making progress. You know, I'm not perfect, nor will I ever be. But the reason I started this channel is to share, you know, what it was like, you know, what happened in my recovery process and what I do every day now to continue that progress. Thank you. And at the same time, if there's somebody on this channel that is looking to make some changes, I've created a community to help with that. And as a transformation guide, I'd like to help you. If you go to the channel notes, there's a link to Freedom Seekers, which is my community. With that being said, let's get back into the book. I do have empathy for those who avoid accountability because for a long time, I avoided kind candor and one-on-one confrontation. I went too far in the direction of being empathetic and taking accountability for others' weaknesses or mistakes, which meant that some employees didn't realize also had room for improvement. My avoidance of kind candor always led me to a situation I didn't want to be in. In short term, I avoided conflict, but throughout my years at Vayner, 20 plus years at VaynerMedia, Wine Library, and some employees left because I didn't give proper feedback on how they could grow. I learned that leaders need accountability. Too much accountability can give way to entitlement and resentment down the road for both managers and employees. Perhaps kind candor can make it easier for you to embrace accountability. It means you don't have to passively accept all the blame. If you're having friction with your business partner, you can take accountability for putting yourself in that position, but still give feedback to the other person when necessary. You can do both. Of course, in business, financial stability is a big variable that can make it easier to be accountable. That's why saving money is crucial. As you work on developing this ingredient, I encourage you to ask yourself this important question. Can you quit your job tomorrow? A lot of people can't. It's one thing if you're 20 years old and fresh out of school with no debt, but when you start adding other responsibilities, it's not just about you anymore. Even if you feel that you can live in a smaller house without fancy things, maybe you have kids who each need their own room to study. You might have a significant other who wants a different lifestyle. Do you feel trapped? If so, a good start toward taking accountability is looking at your expenses and seeing where you are and how you can save money. Can you move it an hour away from your office to save on rent? Now that more companies accept remote work, can you sell some things you don't use anymore on WhatsApp and other platforms? As I get older, I realize how much of my happiness comes from being in control. Financial control is only one aspect of being in control. It's also about being in control of how I use the 12 and a half ingredients. That's this book here. When you genuinely feel that you're in control, you don't fear the outcome. Hey, Red H, if you have savings, you can feel safe because you can take care of yourself. But if you're working toward that security, you can still feel safe in the fact that you will always get another job. There are always more opportunities. The world is abundant and you're in the driver's seat. Much of the day-to-day angst that people face comes from feeling of helplessness. Accountability can potentially reverse that. I wish this book was called 13, but it's not. It's called 12 and a half because I'm still in the process of addressing my kind candor ingredient. If you know that accountability is one of your halves, I hope you'll begin to do this same thing right now. Yeah, it's an awesome book. I've been following Gary for years and years on the business side. And, in the last 5 to 10 years, he's transitioned a lot of stuff that he talks about. The emotional ingredients, this doesn't just apply in business. This applies in everyday life and just becoming more aware of self and who we are in order to get better, right? Because not everybody is looking to transform from where I was. Some people are just looking to maybe lose some weight or work through some depression or, find a better career or become more whatever, fill in the blank, right? And so I'm glad that you're here. I want to thank you. Oh, thank you, Red H. I appreciate that. So, this is a solid book. I've read this twice. I'm going through it again for the third time. I actually use it kind of like a text. Well, it does really. And, if you get a chance, go check it out. Again, it's called Gary Vaynerchuk 12 and a half. So I want to hear from you guys in the chat. If there's anything that you're working on right now that you would like to, change, transform, what is it that you're working on? And thank you for the likes and thank you for subscribing. I currently have 511 subscribers. Thank you. My goal by the end of the month is to get that over to 1,000. Well, if you guys don't have anything for me, that wraps up the reading for today, and I appreciate you being here. Okay, so you're working on your life, just went to college, but I don't know where to start. Okay. So you just went to college for a degree, or I mean, what did you go to school for initially? Did you go to school just to say you went to school, or um, well, I mean, in today's world with technology, it's really easy to start something for yourself. You know, what do you like doing? And with technology, it's you can start now, right, for free with social media, with AI. I mean, of course, you can always continue going to school, but if you know what you like and you know what you want to do, now's the time to leverage technology and just go. Somebody's posting inappropriate things. I mean, you can go get a job and go work for a company and do that, which is fine. Or you can focus on what you really enjoy doing and figure out a way to do that and have your own business, which is going to be a struggle. But at the same time, going and getting a job is going to be a struggle as well. And at the same time, you're doing it for somebody else in their company. Hopefully that helps, Red. And again, if you go to the channel notes on my actual channel, I have some links with all my other social media. If you go to the Freedom Seekers link, I'd love for you to be part of the community. There's some free parts, and then there's some paid parts. And I have some digital products that I've created and some workshops. So I appreciate you guys supporting this stream. I appreciate you guys going and checking out some of my digital products that I've created, which some are free and some are paid for. There's also a link to join the newsletter, and I also have a Patreon that's in the works. So if you guys want to join that for exclusive content, that'd be great. Thank you, Red. At one point, well, this is who I am. But for a long time, I wore a mask in fear of other people's judgment, right? And at times I can regress back into that. So the work for me today is learning those masks and then shedding them, shedding the program, and stepping back into who I was as a child prior to outside influence, right? And that's the work that we all do in this awakening process. I'm a very spiritual, in tune being, and we all are. It's just there's a lot of programs that have been impressed upon us, which make us essentially who we are. But for me, the work now that I don't drink anymore is learning what makes me tick and doing more of that and putting out authentic things so the people that are meant to be drawn to me will be. And I'm not perfect by no means. I screw up every day, multiple times, but I can recognize it and I can go back to it, right? And then I can course correct. And then if things come up again, I have an opportunity to do it again, right? That's how this world works. That's how our universe works, at least for me. MBTI? No. Share with me. And I'm going to wrap this up here in a moment. But if I'd be happy to continue a dialogue or conversation. You can hit me up on Instagram or something like that. But definitely go to the Freedom Seekers link and join the communities. I've created some Facebook groups, some LinkedIn groups. There's a Patreon, and also some digital gifts, products that you can absorb. Okay. Be well, you guys.